racing towards third. Are they going to send him? Here he comes. PCA to the plate. And wow! Inside the park home run. Pete Crow Arms.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
We are back. Baseball buddies back on the air. Been a minute. Jeff doing his little celebratory return to the air dance. We had to take a little bit of time off because I had to go come up with ways to call Kevin Hart short. I am proud to say that I did so. Turns out there's a lot of ways to skin that particular cat. And we called him short for 3 hours on Netflix. And people have watched it for a total of 1.3 billion minutes in the first week, which is an absurd number and will surely lead to me getting residual checks of almost $12 in the mail. Shout out to the Writers Guild for that most recent contract. You guys absolutely killed it. But the good news is we are back here. We are back here to talk baseball. I'm excited for it. I'm Pat Barker. That's my good friend Jeff Suing. Jeff, how are you, bud?
I'm kind of miserable. Like I'm coming down off of being sick.
Yep.
I'm a little bit miserable. We're talking baseball, and the thing that this reminds me of is the last time that we talked baseball. Because the last time that we talked baseball, you were trying to shove down my throat that I was wrong about the Chicago Cubs. And it turns out I wasn't wrong at all. Fuck that team. All right? Losers of 6 straight now. I got Pete Crow Armstrong telling ladies to suck his dick.
That was funny. That was funny.
I got Pete Crow Armstrong forgetting how to play defense. Alex Bregman has never been good as a member of the Chicago Cubs. Dansby Swanson sucks. Everybody sucks that's signed for 6 more years to this team. And I'm supposed to believe that I'm supposed to believe that the organization, that Theo Epstein up and just was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. It was because Theo Epstein went into an office one day and he said, I need this thing. And I guarantee the owner was like, I'm done giving you things. And then Theo Epstein was like, oh, well, then fuck this. I'm out. I'm going to leave you with Jed. And then everybody was like, oh, we're going to be fine. It's Jed. And Jed fucking sucks at his job. Jed fucking sucks at his job, Pat. And there's no clearer picture of why Jed Hoyer sucks at his job than a guy that plays for your flamin' hot Phils, Kyle Schwarber, who Jed Hoyer didn't trade, didn't let walk during free agency. He fucking non-tendered Kyle Schwarber. Could have just had him. Could have just tendered him a contract and then had him. He just let him go for absolutely nothing. And now he's hitting fucking piss missiles every night into the Philly air, which I imagine tastes awful. And here we are.
Yeah.
No, now I'm mad at Philly. I'm sorry. I'm mad at Philly now. Because you know what sucks? Here, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Rip off your top 10 favorite Phillies of all time.
Top 10. All right. Halliday, Ryan Howard, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez. I have a soft spot for Randy Wolf. I can't explain it, but I do.
Shit. All right, that's a nice cut.
The guy. Yeah, it's a deep cut. I'm gonna go.
Bobby Abreu.
No, I like him. I don't love him. I'm going to go way back to my childhood and pick a guy that only hit when I went to games. I would only go to 3 games a year, and he was basically Barry Bonds when I was there. Pete Incaviglia.
All right. Good one.
If you're asking if Schwarber is on the list, he is. Absolutely. He's one. I have him.
Of course
Cliff Lee. Absolutely. Got to go Carlos Ruiz. I'm going to go with Chooch. That's 9, and then for the last spot, this is kind of a weird one. I'm gonna go with Billy Wagner, because when he came in, I had never seen somebody throw 100 live, and then I was going to games, and he was just like lighting the gun up, and it was just fun to watch.
That's a great thing. But yeah, Kyle Schwarber being on that list, like of course he's on that list because he is the archetype of the most fun type of baseball player to watch.
Yeah.
Which is guy who is basically a caveman. He walks up to the plate, looks a little like a caveman, has a big club. He said, "I'm a hit ball with big club." That's all he does, and he hits the shit out of it, and that's all he does. You remember Travis Hafner? I used to love Travis Hafner. Same fucking guy. Same exact fucking guy. They both like look like a chromosome didn't make it. Yeah. But whatever did make it was just home run hitting brilliance. I hope you're fucking happy now, because what you clearly did is you jinxed the Cubs, and then you tried the reverse bullshit with the Phillies, which is totally worked. I remember texting you when your manager gets fired, which you knew had to happen, and you're like, "Yeah, but it's Don Mattingly." Don Mattingly has you out here being the hottest team in baseball. What the fuck's up?
Phillies lost tonight 1-0. Wasted 8 more shutout innings out of Christopher Sanchez. They have now lost 3 in a row. They've fallen back under 500 after, surging to beyond 500. Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited. They're coming out west next week. I'm going to go down to San Diego for a game. I'm going to go to all 3 here in LA. But I'm not ready yet to be like, oh yeah, this team's great now. They did what they were supposed to do. The pitching sucked at the beginning of the year, which we all knew wasn't going to last. And most of them turned it around, except for Aaron Nola, who I want dead. Metaphorically, of course, not literally. Jesus Christ. And they had an easy run in the schedule. Now they're playing a little bit tougher teams. They just got done losing 2 out of 3 to the Reds, who we both love. And now they just lost 1-0 to the Guardians, who are 9 games over 500. And now they're going to go play the Padres and Dodgers. So let's talk about this again in a week and see how we feel then, before you go trying to reverse jinx my original reverse jinx.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I know what you're trying to. I'm not stupid.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I know what you're trying to do. Okay? I'm not going to let you. I'm still going to be negative. Now, look, if we get to the All-Star break and my team is in a playoff position, then at some point I will have to come clean and be like, all right, I can't jinx them anymore, reverse jinx them anymore. The jig is up. But for now, I think it's still very plausible for me to be like, they're under 500. They're still not hitting the way I want them to. They got a tough stretch of the schedule coming up. I'm not feeling good about this thing. Talk to me again in a couple weeks. We'll see.
Because since you brought them up, just like one quick sentence on this. Oh, boy. Now it feels like I was wrong about the Reds, doesn't it? At the bottom of the NL Central after the last time they were in fucking first.
I know.
And now they're all the way down. They're still over 500 because that division is fucking crazy. But here we are. I did want to bring this up because the Phillies had something happen because, the switch to manager is always going to get the credit in this situation. But it coincided with something that is like one of those things in baseball. And baseball's the best sport because of shit like this. Baseball's the best sport because of stuff that you can just make a claim to, and there's no data to back it up, but you feel in your fucking soul that it's true.
Yeah.
And the Phillies, maybe not the best example of this, but Mattingly's return coincided with the return of Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Okay. And Zach Wheeler, the interesting thing about when Zach Wheeler returned is his velocity was still down, when he was in the minors. And so when he came, you were just like, I'm not sure what version of this guy we're going to get. I'm not sure if he can be successful at 94 instead of 96, right? And he comes up and he just fucking starts shoving. And it's one of those things in baseball where, and I think a lot of the success of a team like the Pirates, in my opinion, can be attributed to a thing like this. Would you have a fucking guy like an ace? I just feel like that has, everybody thinks it's just like pitchers are less valuable because it's every 5 days or whatever. And I'm just mentally, it does something to the fucking boys. It does something to the fucking boys in the locker room to know that guy is coming up. Now, the Phillies are a bad example of this because they have another one of those guys.
Yeah,
right?
but
Sanchez, same sort of thing. But what I'm saying is this is one of the things in baseball where I'm just like, the reason the Phillies started winning is because Zach Wheeler came up, was fucking Zach Wheeler, and now, by the way, is hitting 96 again and looks exactly like he did last year. And like, just that does something to your brain. It must. You just must be more like I still look at the Detroit Tigers roster, and outside of Kevin McGonigal, who just fucking got here, I still can't tell you why they were good last year.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Tariq Skubal, that's why they were fucking good last year. Okay. Why were the Red Sox respectable last year? Garrett Crochet comes out this year. He fucking blows. Now he's on the IL. That team is in the trash can.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, Hunter Brown to a degree too in Houston.
100%.
Yeah. No, and here's why I think the Phillies are actually a really good example of that. Christopher Sanchez, as I alluded to earlier, 8 shutout innings tonight, runs his scoreless streak to 37 2/3. Okay, you're getting near like record territory. What is Hershiser, like 50, 56 or something like that? No, that was DiMaggio's hit streak. Hershiser maybe like in the early, like 62 or something. I don't remember, but like Sanchez is like a few more outings away from like being around there.
Yeah.
And at the time Wheeler came back, Sanchez, his ERA never got out of control, but he led the league in hits allowed for the first like month. That is not a coincidence. When you are, because yes, okay, that shifts him back, and he might still technically be the ace. The way he's pitching now would point to that. But forget about whether you're the 1 or the 2 or whatever. Just take the entire pitching staff. When you are in the same rotation with a Taijuan Walker, and forget about it from the perspective of like, oh, well, I'm the number 1 and he's the number 5. You're in the same rotation. Once a week, at a minimum, you are guaranteed a loss. You are guaranteed to have to feel more pressure the next time you come out to pick up a little bit of the slack. That is what Christopher Sanchez was going through before. Now that Zach Wheeler is back, you have replaced someone who is not playable on a major league roster with someone who is one of the best pitchers in baseball. It takes the pressure off of everybody. Now, I don't know why that memo hasn't gotten to Aaron Nola. It has seemed to help out Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo a lot. Nola is still out there getting his shit rocked, but the bottom line is the ace puts everybody else in a place where they feel like they have to do a little bit less. There's a little bit less pressure. And yeah, you could definitely see that with the Phillies, but in those other examples you stated as well.
Yeah, and I've always thought there would be this thing. My favorite Cubs team was the Cubs team of the early 2000s. I loved those Cubs teams. Even though they didn't win the World Series, those were my favorite Cubs teams. And I remember the rotation when it was Pryor, Wood, Zambrano, Clement.
Yep.
And fuck, I can never remember the fucking 5th guy. But anyways, it was just like this entire rotation of guys that could really fucking pitch. And it felt like, and I'm sure there's some of this too, Pryor would go out and just fucking dominate. God, that guy was good. Pryor would just go out and fucking dominate. And it felt like the rest of the staff would go, oh yeah, you do that? Okay. Yeah. My turn now. Like, now I'm going to show you what I can do. And then there was like that friendly sort of competition as well. And so like, I think, you know, a guy like Zach Wheeler returning can do those sorts of things for your team too. So it's been fun to see them play. It's been annoying to me to see them play a better brand of baseball. Specifically right after, because I believe last time we were talking, we were fucking shit talking Taijuan Walker, and the next day he got cut. It was one of our greatest moments as a podcast, I think. But Taijuan Walker fired.
To be fair, I don't think we were the only ones shit talking Taijuan Walker. I don't think we were the only ones going out on that limb.
No, I'm pretty sure people in that fucking locker room were probably doing that. That was not great.
One of the worst free agent signings of my entire life as a Philly fan.
That was a bad one.
But you know, it's funny that you bring that up. Garrett Cole returned to the Yankees tonight. Made his first start of the season, 6 shutout innings. I think that's going to be a big boon for them in the exact same way. I mean, Cam Schlittler has been unbelievable for them.
Yeah.
And now I think with those two guys atop the rotation, everybody else just gets to like breathe a little sigh of relief and just kind of, go on about their day and be like, I don't have to do quite as much. And I think that is going to help them a lot. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, it certainly going to help them a lot. And there's still there's a lot of young pitchers in that rotation too. Like Will Warren is not a guy with a ton of major league. I don't think he's like the youngest guy, but he's like not a guy with a ton of experience. It's always going to help to have guys like that in front of you, just because your stuff is now going to look so much different when those guys are at the top. I really wonder if we're going to be in a weird cycle where like the Dodgers are always going to be good for the rest of our lives and forever. I don't know. Like, I don't know what we could do to stop it. I've tried to think about it and it just nothing makes sense in my head to make them bad. So they're just going to be good forever. But I wonder if every year there's going to be the teams that all of a sudden suck because that was the year that their pitching got hurt. And the teams that are good are the teams where their pitchers returned from injury. You know what I mean? Like sure. All of a sudden it's like, it feels like the Yankees are all of a sudden, like, even when you just watch Garrett Cole go 6 shutout in his first start, we've seen one start. It just like in your mind, you're just kind of like, oh, I guess the Yankees can win the World Series.
Oh yeah. I think that's
like, here we go.
I think that's kind of inevitable, is that, with a couple of exceptions, the Brewers every year are like, we're going to trade our 2 best pitchers away. And
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. When you talked earlier about like there are certain things in baseball that no data would support, but you just feel it in your bones. My thing is predicting that the Brewers and Rays are going to be good no matter whether I like a single player on their roster. Those 2 teams, it just does not matter.
Yep.
They're always going to be better than they should be based on the sum of their parts.
Yeah. No excuse for big ass organizations either. My God, like that the Dodgers are the only big organization that figured out how to like scout and develop talent. Meanwhile, these 2 mom and pop shops are just dick kicking everybody.
Yeah.
Just out here like Pete Crow Armstrong telling people to suck their dicks because they're really good at developing talent. I'm going to say that 7 more times.
That was one of my favorite moments, man. Shout out to my guy, PCA. Not
PC. It's just A now. It's just A now.
They had before they had the actual like what he said. They were just like, oh, look at him trash talking with a fan. And then I think people were behind it. And then when the actual like words came out, I saw people being like, well, that's unacceptable. I'm like, that makes me like him more. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I had Philly season tickets for 10 years before I moved to LA. Not full season. I had they came in 17 game plans, and I would get 2 per year. So I would get 34 total games. I had 17 games in left field, 17 games in right field. And left field was more like left center, so I wasn't like, if I was loud enough they could hear me. But right field, we were like 4 rows back, directly behind the right fielder.
Ooh.
And I talk shit to everybody in 2004. And you could look it up. I'll bet and again, you would have to do it by the games I went to. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at, because I could find it. I tracked the games I went to. I'll bet the combined OPS of right fielders against the Phillies in those 17 games was somewhere around 3,800. Every single game, I would start talking shit, and by the 5th inning, I was like, God, all right, I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. That was my bad. I got him going. I should not have. I just got to keep my mouth shut. And I did it every single time. And that was the last year I talked trash, because I'm just like, these guys, this is not, it's getting them fired up, and I got to stop poking the bear. Because they weren't even good bears.
Right.
I remember one game, Matt Stairs, who I love now because of what he did in 2008, But at the time, he was on the Kansas City Royals, and he was playing right field against the Phillies, and I heckled him. I don't know what I probably called him fat or something like that. And this dude, I'm pretty sure, I have to go back and look at the box score. I'm pretty sure he hit 2 home runs and a triple. The triple was like extra insulting. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That Stairs, another caveman. Another
Oh my
caveman.
God, the ultimate, and that's ultimately, yeah. When I see Schwarber, you're right. I just realized when you said it out loud, that's who I've been seeing the whole time.
It's fucking Matt Stairs. Yeah, he's so much better. He's so much better than Matt Stairs.
So much better. The same kind of swing where when they hit the ball, you're just like, oh my God, that was a nuke, right?
It's the farthest. Every ball they hit is the farthest ball you've ever seen hit.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Amazing. Dude, this has been the weirdest MLB season that I can remember. For so long, it's almost been a game that got a little boring for how easily it could be predicted.
Mm-hmm.
You would always know, like, this guy is going to be good if he is under 30.
Right.
And has been good before and is on the same team. He's probably going to do what he's done or a little bit better or a little bit worse, but not this year. This year has been fucking strange. And I don't know if it's people say that there's like a whole thing. Like if you play in the World Baseball Classic, you have a worse year the following year. But like to this extent is crazy because it's like the guys that are down right now. I mean, you look at some of the stats for guys that like in the beginning of the season, you and I were like Gunnar Henderson could win an MVP. Well, let me tell you something. Not fucking this year. He can't.
True.
Can't do that anymore. It was weird. Like Bobby Witt Jr. started out the season and he didn't hit a home run for like the first month and a half or some shit like that. Manny Machado's been terrible. And then there's the case of before air, you told me something I had no idea about, which is that it's May 22nd right now.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis hasn't hit a goddamn homer.
Goose egg.
I'm floored by this. Now these are I believe I've named a bunch of players that did play in the World Baseball Classic. There's other guys.
I was gonna say because I just loaded up for the hell of it. You know, the league leaders in home runs. Schwarber was in the World Baseball Classic. Murakami,
right.
World Baseball Classic. Byron Buxton was in the World Baseball Classic. Aaron Judge was in the World Baseball Classic. Ben Rice, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Jordan Alvarez.
Aaron Judge having his worst year in a long time.
True. He's only hitting 240 something, but he's mashing. He's hitting some homers.
Really
like Junior Caminero was in there. Bryce Harper's having a nice bounce back year. I'm not sure I totally buy that, but it is like it's just very weird. The Tatis thing is especially like how is that possible?
He's right in the middle of his prime on a team that he was on already. Because like there's certain instances like Pete Alonso, for instance. Pete Alonso, you look at him, he's hitting 230. You're like, oh, this kind of fucking sucks. Maybe the Orioles screwed up. For me, this is another one of those things that I cannot prove. I do not think has been looked up with, for data. First year of your free agent contract, especially when you switch leagues, NL to AL, AL to NL, the first half of that season is not going to be good. The second half, you get back to where you are. So that first season looks down on a whole. But by that second season of that contract, typically you're back to where you were, which is what I fucking hope is going to happen with fucking Alex Bregman. But I have no idea. So Pete Alonso, like there's a little bit of a pass there. But like for Tatis in his prime, same exact place, was great last year. Was if anything, with how he hit the ball last year, it should have been an even better year for him. For him to not have hit a fucking ball over the fence, that is crazy. What's crazier, the Padres have been good.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Machado being terrible.
I was just going to say that. Like, first of all, Tatis, and then we'll talk about the Padres' bigger picture.
Yeah.
They moved him to second base, and I've been really busy. I just worked like one of the busiest schedules of my life, so I'm not all caught up on everything. I would have to do some digging. But I know that they moved Tatis. You remember, he came up as a shortstop. He was a really good shortstop. They moved him to right field. I believe he won a platinum glove in right field. Right?
Yeah, he's very good at it.
Now they move him to second base, which, like, I didn't understand. And then the other day, I'm watching the Dodgers finally broke through and got a run off of Mason Miller. And the way they scored the run was, I was watching the highlights. Alex Call drew a walk or whatever. Aaron pickoff throw, he gets to third. Andy Pajes comes up. And Andy Pajes hits this little flare to right field. And Tatis, who had been moved out there as part of like a double switch because they're playing Nick Castellanos out there every day, who is also terrible.
Yep.
Nick Castellanos, who is on pace, I've been keeping up with him because, former friend of the show as a Phillies fan. He's on pace for, I believe, like -4 WAR for the season, like some ungodly total.
He shouldn't be playing baseball anymore. He should be done.
No. And again,
He
the
should be in the
Padres,
Savannah Banana.
the Padres are playing 3 players who are performing like literal, like single A ball players this year, and they're really good. But again, we'll get to that in a minute. But they move Castellanos out. They move Tatis into right field. Man on third, 1 out. Pajes hits this little fly ball. Tatis catches it on the run. There's a play at the plate. Call is barely safe. The interesting thing to me is, and this was not a deep fly ball, Tatis hit the cutoff man. He threw it to the second baseman, who then turned and threw it home. So I went to the comments because I was like, surely the comments are going to talk about how weird that was. But it's the Dodgers and Padres, so all the comments are just like, oh, LA owns you pussies. It was just turned into like fan gang warfare. But the bottom line is, that is a throw that Fernando Tatis, I did see a couple people who were like, oh, if the guy didn't cut it, he would have been out at home. But it's like, why are you throwing it at the second baseman's chest? That would be a 2-hopper if he doesn't cut it. Why does a guy with an arm like Tatis on a shallow fly ball need 2 hops to reach home plate? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, this guy has to be injured. Nothing else makes any sense. To be 200 plate appearances into a year without a single home run, to be moved from a position where you won a platinum glove back to the infield to second base, which is the shortest throw on the diamond. They didn't even put you back at shortstop, which is your original position. And now they put you out in right field for an inning and you get exposed throwing a 2-hopper to home. Yeah, the math, as the kids say, is not mathin' for me on that one, and it points to an injury. Machado, I have no idea what's going on. And Castellanos is just bad. And now Jackson Merrill is injured, out of the lineup tonight. And the Padres are, with scrap heap guys, the Walker Buehlers of the world. I mean, they were going around signing these guys with a week to go in spring training. And, like, they are somehow 29-20 and in position for, a playoff spot. It's kind of ridiculous.
I just like this. This is fucking crazy. The team leading batting average right now is Xander Bogaerts hitting 247. He also leads the team in on base percentage at 318.
No, that can't be true. Is that true?
It's I at it.
Oh my God, dude.
I'm looking right. I guess you would say it must be like qualified, because I guess you would say Gavin Sheets at 338 is the actual leader. He's just played less games.
Still.
You're only regular. Gavin Sheets is a platoon guy. Right. You're only regular. The highest OBP is 318. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
It's nuts. And I don't have this in front of me. I should, but I don't. I believe they have a negative run differential on the season. So don't get me wrong. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. They are due for...
They are +3.
Are they?
They're somehow +3.
Well, to be +3 in 9 games over 500, still,
That's luck. It's luck. Right. But it's not as much luck as some other teams are having. Like, that run differential would tell you that, like, yeah, that's a pretty good team. But like, I look at the team and I'm like, why?
You got me, because also
it's just the bullpen. Maybe, I don't know.
The bullpen's great.
It is great.
Mason Miller is having like a historic year back there. And Michael King is really, having a fantastic year in the rotation. But beyond that, and again, I'm not super keeping up with it, so maybe I'm missing someone really, really good in the rotation, but like, to me, it's Michael King and a bunch of guys. They got German Marquez before the season and Walker Buehler, and didn't they also, they went out and got Giolito?
They got every sixth starter.
Yeah.
That was available. And just were like, yeah, come on down.
I'm looking these guys up now. Buehler is 3-2 with a 531. German Marquez is 3-2 with a 576.
Yeah.
And Lucas Giolito 1-0 with a 540. So they're all in the fives.
Yep.
It is totally smoke and mirrors that they're this good. They should not be this good. But, I mean,
if this is the start you're getting off to, though, when all of this is going on, theoretically, we have to assume, right, that Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. start being Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr.
Unless they're injured.
They could be injured.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy to think that nobody's really, like, overachieving to where you're like, well, they can't keep this up. Like, Xander Bogaerts can keep up a 318 on-base percentage.
Yeah, in fact, he should do better. He should be better than that.
Yeah. The way they played, they should not be as good as they are record-wise, but the way their best players have played, they should be even better going forward. You're right. It's a conundrum. Very bizarre.
Yes, it's going to be a weird thing. It feels like a team that's going to make the play. I don't know.
It's especially weird for me because I'm usually like really up to date on everything that's going on. And then, when I have a month like that month and a half where I'm just like working insane hours and I have just enough kind of like mental capacity to keep up to date with the Phillies and the Dodgers and like a couple of teams. But now it's like, okay, I'm coming out of a coma almost. I'm coming out of hibernation. And it's like, let me see what I missed. And you're catching up on, you're like, Padres 29-20. They are, outplaying expectations. I'll bet some of their guys are really going nuts. And then you look at the numbers and you're like, oh my God. What? How? I still don't get it.
Doesn't make much sense. Like a lot, but again, a lot of this season hasn't made sense. I think last time we were doing this too, it wasn't just that the Cubs were at the top of the NL Central or the Reds were at the top of the NL Central. Out west in the AL,
yeah,
the fucking A's are back, man. With behind current AL MVP Shea Langoliers. Like I don't know who's playing better. I mean, Bobby Witt, I guess that he's playing better baseball at this point. Because, I mean, and he's a lovely defender, but so is Langoliers. Like, Langoliers is also good behind the dish. Man, like, all of a sudden, Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers, that turned into a lineup that is like, I don't really want to fuck with that too often.
No.
And in that park, it's even worse. They seem to have enough professional pitching to go enough innings. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't seem like a team that like is like any real threat or anything like that, but that's a real ass offense. So it's crazy to see like a team like that just pop up out of nowhere. The Nationals are playing like decent baseball.
Hang on. I want to talk A's, and I also want to give us credit for successfully hitting another reverse jinx. We are on fire this season. In the few minutes it took us to discuss the Padres, Fernando Tatis led off the game with a walk, and then Manny Machado hit a 2-run homer to bring him in.
Fuck yeah. Look at us go.
There's that. Also, the light behind me is getting crazy, so we gotta.
You look incredible. You look incredible. It's great.
Oh, do I? All right, fantastic. No. We'll turn this way. So this doesn't look good, but at least the light isn't fucking with me anymore.
Production design, I love it. Good job.
Whatever, dude. Nobody's watching this shit. Now, let's talk about the A's real quick. This is a team that has had the right pieces, right? Brent Rooker is not doing much this year, but Brent Rooker is generally one of the better DHs you're going to find in the game, and a very funny
one of the better follows on social media if you're going to follow a professional baseball player.
Jacob Wilson.
Don't follow PCA. He'll tell your girlfriend to suck his dick.
And she's not going to do it now. No, not the way he's playing this year. My
That's
girl
a
has
good
higher standards than that. But
point.
Langoliers is incredible. Soderstrom is another guy who's really like underperforming.
Soderstrom's
But
really good.
he's really good too. They have a lot of really good players on offense. I didn't love their pitching.
You still shouldn't.
But they're putting it together enough to win. And I saw a report today that their ballpark is right on cue to open in Las Vegas in 2028. It is no coincidence that they're gearing this. The owners are doing a very good job. They have built a foundation that I feel like any time in Oakland over the last 30 years, they made a goddamn movie about it. Anytime over the last 30 years with this foundation, you would say, okay, when are they going to start trading? You'd be looking at this team right now, 26 and 24, and you'd be saying, well, look, my team could use a Shea Langoliers.
Yep.
I wonder what they're going to want at the deadline. Because they're going to want to trade him. They're going to want to trade, Soderstrom if he gets hot or whoever. Now you're like, oh, this is the core of the team, and they're about to start spending money when they get to Vegas. And what a monkey's paw situation for the fans in Oakland who wished for years that their team would actually spend money and surround their good homegrown players with people from the outside. And now it is going to happen, and it's going to happen in front of 100%. The fans in Las Vegas. Just what a devastating situation for Oakland fans.
It's going to happen in front of fans of all other 29 MLB teams who happen to be in Vegas that day. Like that's who it's going to happen for.
That's a fun road trip. I am looking forward to taking.
Oh, I look forward to you checking that. I might actually come with you when you check that ballpark off your list.
Got to do it.
That'd be a lot of fun. But
yeah, those are my thoughts on the A's. Who else were you getting into? The Nats?
Well, I just, they're gonna obviously come down. Like they're only a game under 500 after being one of the worst teams in baseball last year. They're still bad, and they're still going to be bad. But I do think there's something to the fact that they replaced the entirety of the, sometimes everything just needs a reset and a new set of eyes. And sometimes what can happen is like guys come in and they just go, I bet, you could do a movie or a TV show about, I bet this would happen with like, if the Angels ever got sold too, like a new group just walks in and they would just be like, you don't have a pitching machine? What the fuck is going on here? Like,
I laugh.
Do you not have this?
Are you aware that was a real thing with the Phillies earlier this year?
Oh, no, I'm not actually not.
It was like 3 or 4 weeks into the season, and I think it was the hitting coach, Kevin Long, who was like, I expect like Schwarber and Harper to get hot soon because we just brought in like a left-handed batting practice pitcher so they could see lefties. They couldn't find in the entire Philadelphia area one guy who could throw 60 miles an hour left-handed.
Dude, I make the movie about that guy. I would watch that guy's movie. The guy that came in and saved Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper's season because he just threw left-hand, like straight down the middle left-handed so they could fucking nuke it and feel better about themselves. I love it.
I think they have left-handed pitching machines too, and I guess the Phillies are like, we didn't invest in that. But
my God.
You're absolutely right when you talk about like the need for the reset, and like sometimes you just come in and it's that simple. Some of these organizations are just so embarrassing. And we can have a separate side conversation about, I'm sure you're familiar with the tarps off sensation that's sweeping the nation right now.
Tarps off. Is that a shirts off thing?
Yeah. Started with the Cardinals fans. There were all of a sudden 300 dudes, shirts off, waving them around over the head. The kids today won't get the reference, but like Petey Pablo. I don't know if you remember. Petey Pablo had a run. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, raise up. He was but he had a whole song about taking the shirt off and waving it around your head like a helicopter, if I remember right. That's what following in the footsteps of Petey Pablo, a bunch of pale white kids in St. Louis decided to do that, and it led to a big rally, and now it has caught on kind of like all over the place. And at Angel Stadium the other day, it started with like 10 kids, and by the 8th inning, there were 500, college kids, shirts off, swinging them around their head and chanting, "Sell the team, sell the team," which I thought was, I have mixed feelings on the tarps off thing to begin with, but if you're going to do it, you should do it to bring attention to a cause. And I can't think of a better baseball cause than shaming Artie Moreno.
I'm so fascinated by this because I started watching this show called Shoresy. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's a show. I think it's like a Hulu original or whatever. It's by the guy that did Letterkenny.
Okay.
And it's about a hockey player named, like, his last name is Shore. And he's like a fucking pest, like a piece of shit. It's a great sports show. Like, you should watch it. You'll really enjoy it. But I had never heard a shirt be called a tarp before.
Same.
That show. And so there's a point where he said, we got to take our tarps off. And there's like a whole episode about, I think it's like they're making like a calendar or something. And he's like, well, how are we doing a sexy calendar with having our tarps on? We got to have our tarps off. So then they all take their tarps off. So I think I have to imagine
a reference to,
that's where this came from, because it's very it's obviously Canadian. So that must be where that came from. It's fascinating that got to the best fans in baseball over in St. Louis. That's crazy.
They're innovators, Jeff. They come up with everything.
Yeah, they're really fucking incredible. They're really fucking incredible.
But the Angels thing specifically, because there was another report that came out this week. I don't know why it came out now. Maybe somebody was on a podcast or something and they said something, but Shohei Ohtani, who we got to talk about the season he's having. Because it's absolutely insane. But there were reports of the deals that the Angels turned down, leading. Jesus Christ. We're going to talk as I try to. There we go. There were talks of the deals that the Angels turned down in the lead up to the trade deadlines in 2022 and 2023, when, of course, they held on to Ohtani. I had heard the one previously about the Padres, and they offered a package with Fernando Tatis and I believe C.J. Abrams, and someone, maybe James Wood, that went back in the Juan Soto deal. They ended up giving up for Juan Soto. I had heard that deal previously, but they also just came out with a Rays package that was offered in the Padres was 2022, the Rays was 2023, and that package evidently included Junior Caminero, amongst others. And the idea that Ohtani could have been a Ray is absolutely not a ray of sunshine, but just a ray. That is pretty incredible. So,
I gotta tell you, I'm glad, though it seems like a poor business decision, glad they turned it down. I don't want to see Shohei Ohtani as a Ray. You know what would have happened? They would have platooned him. You know what I mean? They would have fucking cut that dude's nuts off. He needed to go somewhere where they're going to let him do whatever the fuck he wanted. So I'm glad he didn't end up a Ray. Because the Padres, on the other hand, would have been like, you're actually going to play outfield on your off days.
Right.
That's how the Padres would have handled it. That Preller is a fucking psychopath. And that dude, he must be praying to the heavens, because, like, holy shit, is this random fuckery saving that guy's job right now? Because my God, he is just, every movie is made outside of Mason Miller just looks like a goddamn nightmare right now. Speaking of that, I just want to shout out this team, and not for the good reasons. We might have to fold the Baltimore Orioles. As a friend, I know they have a really nice ballpark.
Yeah.
I like their logo. I like their jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I like that little shitty manager who swears at umpires.
Yep, sure.
I like a lot about the Baltimore Orioles. Cal Ripken Jr. Love that fucking guy. I tell him all the time. But like at this point with the Baltimore Orioles, like it wasn't. I feel like it was like 2 years ago. Everybody was like, oh, Gunnar Henderson.
Yep, I was one of them.
And then fucking Matt Holliday's kid. And then they get all these outfielders.
Yeah.
And then Grayson Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. And then this, and that, and then this, and then that. And dear God, everything has gone so fucking wrong once their players hit the big leagues. And I don't know how it is in the minors right now. Like I'm not hip to fucking what it's like to be a minor leaguer in Baltimore anymore, but I know that they were like doing well, developing for a while. And the crazier thing about this is that Gunnar Henderson has been successful. He has been successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these guys come up and they see some success, and then there's just no sustaining it. And I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's the manager. I don't know if it's management. I don't know if they don't have a pitching machine. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the Orioles, but like Seller, after all the hype about this team for the last couple of years, then you bring in Pete Alonso and you're cellar dwelling 50 games into the season. I don't, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to do with that team.
There's a couple names you've forgotten there too. That's what I was just when you were talking there. I was Googling Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, he's a Ray.
Another guy who fits into the entirety of our conversation today because he's sitting here 0.3 WAR, 181 average, 513 OPS. Everything we've talked about today. Guys you should be able to count on to be good, being bad, team succeeding in spite of that. He plays for the Rays, who I think have the best record in baseball, despite him playing every day and being absolutely terrible. But Cedric Mullins is a guy, you go back to 2021, that was a 6-WAR season. 2022, it was a 4-WAR season. Adley Rutschman is another one.
He's actually playing well this year.
He has. He's rebounded nicely, but he's another one who kind of like disappeared.
He sucked for 2 years before this year.
Terrible. Yes. Yeah. I don't know what is going on in Baltimore. That's an example of a team that did everything they were supposed to do, and in the same way that I just kind of, to get back to like stuff that you can't prove, it doesn't make any sense logically, but you just feel it in your bones. Whatever I feel about the Rays and the Brewers, the opposite is what I feel about the Orioles, where it's like, you guys did everything the right way. You drafted well, you developed well, you got these guys to the major leagues. They succeeded, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You went out and got a player at a position of need in Pete Alonso, who, is a 35 to 40 home run guy every year. You developed this Samuel Basayo kid to come up behind Adley Rutschman. Everything they've done on paper should be the right thing. And yet here we are, and they stink. They stink.
It's like the other side of, because we look at baseball tanking so fondly, but we forget about the absolute disasters that happen when it doesn't work out. Like this one here, remember, it was like, I feel like it was like 5 years ago. It was like, holy fuck, dude, the White Sox have Tim Anderson and Eloy Jimenez and Jose Abreu. Yohan Moncada, Chris Sale, like they had all this shit and everybody was like, oh, look the fuck out for this White Sox team that's going to be together for years because they're all in their 20s. And that That thing got blown up and is already being rebuilt. You know what I mean? Like, we're already on the come up from that rebuild. Like, it's crazy.
And the way we were just talking about the A's 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
We're sitting here like Nick Kurtz and Shea Langoliers and Tyler Soderstrom and Jacob Wilson. There's no guarantees on anything.
No, it worked. It worked in a different era of like I feel like, you know, you think about when the Cubs won the World Series, when the Astros won the World Series. I'll never forget when they were like, the Astros are going to win the World Series in like 3 years. It was like Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
They had that big cover or whatever. And like, it was the same thing for the Cubs, which is like both teams took the route of just like bottoming out, like getting a high pick in the draft and just like, you know, going through the whole thing, selling everything of value off, and just like everything worked out. But I think that we think of that era of baseball as the same as the era that we're in now. And we're already in a different era of baseball. You know what I mean? Like, that thing already doesn't work anymore. Like, you have to do something completely. You do. Like, it's a complete, like, even like during that time wasn't the time where it's like, you got to have some fucking string bean who throws 103 miles an hour that's in the front of your rotation, you know.
But okay, I mean, to argue a little bit to the contrary, is that not kind of what the Blue Jays did coming out of the Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion era? They kind of were terrible for a few years and then rebuilt with this current roster that just won a pennant.
Well, I guess sort of like, yeah, I mean, certainly with Vlad, but was Vlad even a draft pick or was Vlad an international signing?
I assume Vlad was an international signing.
I think he was too. Like, Bo Bichette was probably a draft pick, but Bo Bichette is on another team and bad. So I get what you're saying. Listen, in sports, still, for pretty much every league, your best course of action is like, if you're not going to win, if you don't have a chance to win at a high level, be bad, collect good assets, and then try to win with those assets. And it's a never-ending cycle unless you can afford to just spend the money for it, which the Dodgers do.
Right.
But I mean, I think, you know, I suppose it's all like the Dodgers breaking the math on any of that, because it seems like every single year we're just like, oh, top 5 system in baseball is like the Dodgers are still fucking there because they had 4 more guys break out this year that you've never heard of. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, no, look, I hear you. All I'm saying is, like, you know what, and I looked it up. Vlad was an amateur free agent signed in 2015. But to me, that's part of the bottoming out. It's never been as cut and dry as like the NBA or NFL, where it's like we tank, we get draft picks, because draft picks are. Here's where you're right versus, you know, 10, 15 years ago. There are way more, I feel like, international game changers that can be brought in. So the draft isn't even necessarily the primary tool with which to rebuild. And in order to do it, you gotta hit everything right in order to build the correct way. The Orioles have been a little bit more draft-centric. Other than Basayo, none of their players were international, you know, guys. They don't have a lot of scrap heap trade kind of guys that they got. You look at the Blue Jays, it's a nice mixture of everything. You got Vlad and Alejandro Kirk as international guys. You have Ernie Clement and Bo Bichette coming up through the system via the draft. You have guys like Kevin Gossman, who they went out and got from other teams. There's a little bit of everything. So yeah, I would say the model that the Orioles have followed, which is to just build through the draft, is kind of broken. And look, I've watched the Phillies do that too. I've expressed for years now how upset I am that the Phillies have no presence in the international scouting department at all. Now, they ended up hitting gold with Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, but for the most part, they had 2 out of the 3 pieces. They did do generally pretty good with their free agent signings. They put their money to good use. A couple of big whiffs in there like Taijuan Walker and Nick Castellanos, but for the most part, the money spent was good money. But they tried to build through the draft with like Bohm and Stott and everything like that, and it gave them a little foundation, but that's not why they're winning, you know?
Maybe the issue more is what happened to the trade market, because I just feel like that got far more expensive, right? Like, I remember when the Cubs traded Andrew Kashner for Anthony Rizzo, which was like, Rizzo probably at that time was still like a top 100 prospect. Kashner was like fine, you know, it wasn't anything like special. But then like I compare that to the Cubs trading for Edward Cabrera over the winter, who has always been like, as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And it was like, here's 2 top 100 prospects and then more stuff. And I'm just like
5 guys. It was a
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, what are we, why is it that expensive? So maybe the pool isn't there really for you anymore.
The days of the Doyle Alexander for John Smoltz, Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell. Now it's like a package headlined by Jeff Bagwell or a package headlined by John Smoltz or something like that. You're right. Mid-level players, you got to give up a lot to get now.
Yeah, it's like wild. It's like the trade that probably wins the Cubs the world, or one of them that wins the Cubs the World Series, is Scott Feldman for Jake Arrieta. Right? That was like a pitcher who was like fine, that was going to go in the back of the rotation for the Orioles, for like an upside swing who like had a 5 ERA, couldn't quite get right, but clearly had nasty stuff. Now, I feel like if you go to a team and you're like, hey, what is that guy with the 5 ERA cost? That, you know, I feel like the other team is like, what do you like about him?
And this is why. Let's close with this. We'll save the Ohtani discussion for it. Lord knows there will be plenty of time to talk about him. But
we should really just do an Ohtani episode.
We could do an Ohtani series. This podcast could just be the Ohtani files. Let's close with this then. On that note, in the spirit of guys who years ago you'd have been lucky to get 1 good guy for, now you might get 4, let's talk about Mike Trout. It is almost June. Mike Trout is still healthy. He's playing center field. He's playing every day. He's having a very nice season. OPS in the high 800s. He goes on these tears that are absolutely unbelievable. He's been streaky for sure, but when he gets on his tears, he looks like every bit of the Mike Trout he was in his prime. He had 30.2 feet per second sprint speed the other day, which is the fastest he's run in like 7 years. Going by the old model, am a believer that you can't get anything from Mike Trout at this point because he's too injury prone, he's too old, you know what I mean? He's owed too much money, but I'm sitting here now and I'm like, what if you could get something of value? I know he has in the past said he has no interest in leaving Anaheim, and maybe that's true, and if it is, I mean, you know, whatever, God bless. But to me, this guy, please get him off of the Angels and to any city where he could potentially play in October.
Don't you? I kind of want to see him go to the Yankees, and I never want to see anybody go to the Yankees.
Okay, I'm game. Talk about it.
There's a gaping hole. There's a gaping hole there in center field.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I'm not interested in all my other options there. I would rather just play Mike Trout there. I get Mike Trout in the fucking most pipsqueak ass ballpark that has ever been built for any. One of the things that cracks me up is like on like Twitter or whatever, there's like the accounts that'll be like, oh, this person hit a home run. It's it would have been a home run in 12 of 30 ballparks, or like this one's a no doubter. It would have went out of all the ballparks. Every day there's like 7 balls hit where it's like, this is a 90-mile-per-hour flyout. It would have been a home run in Yankee Stadium only. I mean, dude, it's just like this ridiculous ballpark. And I'm just like, Let me see him finish his career somewhere like there. I know, like he's from Philly. That's not a great fit, but it's like another ballpark where you can, poke the ball out a little bit. But like, yeah, man. And I don't know. Like, why couldn't you get something for him? You should be able to get an interesting piece, like interesting enough to do something, especially since now with the Angels. And I know he's not having the greatest season either, but like Zach Neto is a good player. Like, not nobody's necessarily going to come to the ballpark to come see Neto. But the crazy thing about the Angels is they never do right now. Like they could have, they could turn it all around if they want. They could truly bottom out in the way that you want to. Tell me Jose Soriano can't get me a fuck ton on the market? I bet he could. Even like Reed Detmers, who is a guy who for years has been this guy where it's like, ooh, that's really good stuff. He just has no fucking idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, you telling me the Rays aren't like, yeah, I'll take him. I'll see what's up with Reed Detmers. I'm going to teach him this stupid changeup, and then he's going to be fine for the rest of his career. But like, it doesn't even feel like they're interested in trading guys like that. Yeah, this team should be completely exploded. I mean, frankly, Zach Neto's probably too old to be on the next good Angels team. You know what I mean? So it's like, you should be. Yeah. That'd be great, though.
The best time to blow it up would have been 2022. Second best time, 2023. Third best time, 2024. Fourth best, so forth and so on until you get to today. And it's like, yeah, I mean, just
it's a miracle that they would still have enough to do a decent blow up, though. What a miracle! But that's why they're not going to do it.
I'm just looking at these guys. Zach Neto hit a homer tonight to get his OPS up to 737. He's hitting 218. Nolan Shonwell, your 3-hole hitter, OPS under 7. That's a guy they drafted in the first round and had him playing in the majors like 3 months later.
Immediately. They did the same thing with Neto.
They've been doing that a lot. Joe Adell had, the game where he robbed 3 home runs earlier in the year, and it really looked like he might have turned the corner. His OPS is back under 7. Logan O'Hoppy's hitting 192 with an OPS in the 5s. I don't, but I get this would be a good litmus test for your theory about how, much more expensive the trade market is generally now. Because if you could get legitimate returns for some of these guys, at the very least, you should be calling to gauge interest. And something tells me they're not doing that at all.
It seems like they have been, I would bet that they're a team, this happens every once in a while in sports team, right? Like it must. I would imagine that they're a team that teams have called in the past and are now just like, I'm not fucking calling the Angels.
I'm not wasting my time with these idiots.
Because I guarantee, I do guarantee you every team out there is like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't even have air conditioners. Like, I bet I could get Joe Adell back to hitting 40 home runs. There is an organization out there that like that is on their mind.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, this is all bad, but like, yeah, I don't know. That might be the biggest sell the team in the fucking nation.
Absolutely.
That might be the biggest one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this is good. This is good stuff, man. Glad to be back. Thank you for making the time to hop on with me. We should be getting back to doing these weekly now that my schedule is a little bit less insane. But we will discuss that off the air. Until next time, guys, rate, review, subscribe. That's old. Rate, review, subscribe. I don't even think that's a thing.
Nobody does that.
Leave a comment. I don't know. Tell a friend. Put it in a chain letter. I don't give a fuck. Whatever.
Hit the like button.
Yeah, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Smash the subscribe button. Leave a comment. And until next time, I'm Pat Barker. That's Jeff Suing. We're the Baseball Buddies. We'll see you guys next episode.
Bye, everybody.